Preventing UTIs in someone with dementia can be really, really hard. If you've dealt with one UTI, you'll know what I mean. And that feeling that you can get as you get through it, through the antibiotics, I think, thank goodness that's over with. And then a few weeks later, there's another one and you're back to your doctors. That's what used to happen with my own mum. And the reality is that people with dementia are prone to getting UTIs. We can't actually prevent them from happening, but what we can do is try and reduce the frequency of them through simple steps that we can take in everyday things. And that's what I want to talk to you about today in this video. The difference is that I want to look at it from a different angle. I want to look at it as if, we're looking at where in our everyday routine is something breaking down and what we can do to improve that. That's the way I try to think of it. And there's a simple way of remembering that, the main things that I'm going to be discussing with you today. And that's to think of the word flow, Flow. If you think about how a urinary system works as something that works much better as things move regularly through it. And flow is just a really simple way to think about that. So let me start with F. F is for fluid. If somebody with dementia doesn't realize they're not drinking enough, or may not remember that they've had a drink, or even unable to use the cups or the mugs that you give them. So there's something that's completely automatic for us that can become something that really needs support for a loved one with dementia. So offer them regular drinks rather than waiting for them to ask. Use adaptable cups and mugs to make it easier for them to handle. My mum, I used to leave her jug and her mug in front of us so she could see it. So make the drinks easy to reach and visible. Build in drinking into your daily routine. Have a rhythm for it, like making sure you have something in the morning, mid-morning, at lunchtime. And think about, what they actually like to drink. What's the easiest thing for them to drink? Is it going to be flavored water? Is it tea? Is it fruit juice, sorry. Or it could actually be fruit, like watermelon and stuff has a high water content. If for my mum, you put a cup of tea in front of her, she will drink that. Think about keeping a diary. My mum used to restrict her drink so that she didn't need to go to the toilet as often, especially when we went out, because she was worried about needing to go to the bathroom and also falling if she ran to the bathroom too quickly. So think about how can I make drinking easier to happen throughout their day. And that will help basically keep that urinary system flowing and helping to reduce the level of UTIs or the number of UTIs they could get. And then L is to do with lavatory. And by that, I mean the opportunities for them to use the toilet or also making the toilet easier to find and easier to access. And again, this sounds really obvious, but think about what actually has to happen for someone with dementia to successfully use the toilet. Imagining someone who was perfectly capable of using the toilet, but every time they need to go, they're trying 3 different doors because they can't remember which door is the one that leads to the bathroom. We might say that they're struggling with the toilet, but actually the problem is not that, it's the environment that we've created. And if they can't find the door, it could also be things like poor lighting or the route is blocked with clutter. So it's harder for them to find the bathroom. And we need to think about other ways to deal with that. And it also could be that the bathroom is too far away from them. Don't assume that somebody can't use the toilet. Have a look at the environment they're in. Is the bathroom obvious for them? Is the route clear? Is there enough light for them to find the bathroom? And would a sign help or a door being left open? These are the things we need to think about to help our person get to the bathroom successfully. Then think of reminders, because holding on to urine is not good for your loved one. Are you prompting them with regular reminders to use the toilet rather than waiting for them to take the initiative or to ask? When we got to the stage of dementia where we needed incontinence help, our incontinence nurse at the time advised us using gentle prompts, a reminder every 2 or 3 hours, could help keep the system flowing, and it did. And if your loved one is somebody who can't get to the bathroom, ask yourself, how do I bring that toilet to them? Because sometimes that might mean, having a commode in your home. And I know most loved ones will probably balk at the whole idea of that. But especially at nighttime, having one close to their bedroom makes life a little easier. And because some people with dementia are prone to falls or have spatial awareness issues or have balance issues, these are the things that we could try and avoid at nighttime by having a commode right next to them. That's what we did. And that really helped us because there was stability issues with my mum. Bring the toilet to them if they can't get to the toilet successfully. And then O is about opening bowels. Now, I hadn't thought of constipation as having anything to do with a urinary tract infection, but a full bowel can put pressure on the bladder, and make it harder to empty. So make sure that they're getting enough fluids, enough fiber, encourage them with movement, whatever it takes in order to avoid constipation. And if that is something that is a problem with your loved one because of medication or because of lack of movement, then talk to your doctor and look at ways that you can work around that rather than ignoring it or thinking of it as something completely separate from a UTI, because it does have an impact. This is one of those things that can get forgotten because we're so focused on the urinary system side of things and not looking at how the whole system works together or flows. And finally, W. This is where I'm talking about wash and wear. And this is really all about personal hygiene and incontinence care. So if somebody is wearing a pad, for example, there's a whole routine around changing a pad, how often you need to change them, when do you need to change them, what do you change them into? And then you've got, you've got to think about also about your loved one. Are they changing their clothes? Are they changing their underwear regularly? Making sure that they're kept clean. These are routines that work for them that we have to make sure are working for them. So imagine you're looking at the routine from their perspective. Can they actually get their clothes on? Can they manage the pad on their own? Can they get themselves clean properly down there? Or is that routine now difficult for them to manage? Don't judge the routine by what they used to be able to do. Look at what your loved one can manage right now. So make incontinence care as straightforward as possible. When it comes to personal hygiene, for example, there's a difference between knowing what you're supposed to do and being able to do it, all of the steps that are involved. You might know exactly what you need to do when you go to the bathroom, but if you've forgotten the sequence of steps or the sequence of doing that, or you're struggling with mobility, or you can't physically manage, so you realize that there's a problem there. So look at what your loved one can manage. Do they need prompting? Do they need any physical assistance? Would using something like wipes, make a difference? My mother could no longer manage some aspects of her personal care independently. So I had to help her support it. I had to start supporting that by helping her with wiping, making sure her continence pads were regularly changed, and keeping the skin clean so bacteria didn't transfer, and also keeping it dry and using things like barrier cream to prevent, any soreness in that area from wearing pads, for example. And if it's becoming difficult for somebody who's struggling to be able to reach and clean properly, you might want to consider getting a peri water bottle like this. And then you can help them wash that area clean of matter. The goal is to make the personal care achievable, whether that's independently or with support. And that's really the thing that sits underneath this whole idea of flow. We're not trying to create a perfect routine. We're looking at where the routine is breaking down and possibly giving UTIs an environment to flourish. So we need to think about, what can I change to make this routine easier for my loved one? Maybe it's having a sign in the bathroom. Maybe it's better lighting. Maybe it's a regular prompting that you're giving, or maybe it's just helping them with their personal care, or maybe it's making sure that they're changing their clothes. and then managing their incontinence. These are all the things that can add to UTIs developing. So these are the things you need to be thinking about, because all of that is so much about dementia care. And remember, things change. What somebody could manage, 6 months ago might be completely different now. Our job is to try and understand where the difficulty is and then remove that obstacle for them. And if we can do that consistently, we're giving our loved one the best possible chance to be able to be comfortable, clean, and well, and hopefully UTI free for longer. So just remember flow, keeping that whole urinary system flowing, and hopefully bug free. So F is for fluids, L is for lavatory, regular opportunities and easy access, O is for open bowels, and W is about wash and wear, personal hygiene and continence. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you found this really helpful. I'm Kat. I cared for my mum for the last 13 years with Alzheimer's, and I'm trying to share my lived-in experience with you. And if you're caring for somebody with dementia, then watch my next video where I talk about how to spot a UTI. Thank you again for watching, and you can find that video up here.